A closer look at the quietly influential life of Catherine Dior. There have been people who have lived remarkable and unlikely lives, but for a variety of reasons, their stories have been relegated to the annals of history. One of these names is without a doubt that of Catherine Dior, sister and muse of the couturier Christian. The 1947 fragrance Miss Dior was named for her, and founder of the eponymous maison that relaunched French fashion on an international level after World War II. Catherine's birthplace was Granville, Normandy, and the month of her birth was August 1917. Her birth name was Janetta Dior. She was the youngest of Maurice and Madeleine Dior's 5 children, and she spent the early portion of her life in an affluent family. Her father, Maurice Dior, was an industrialist in the fertilizer field. Madeleine Dior was a fashion designer. As a result of the Great Depression that began in 1929 and the accompanying financial catastrophe that drove the Diors to their knees, in 1935 she moved out of the family house and onto a farm in the Provence region of France. Soon after that, he decides to get away from this predicament and travel to Paris to live with his brother Christian. There, the two of them try to make ends meet in whichever way they can. The Dior brothers relocate back to Provence at the start of World War II, where they make a living by cultivating and selling green beans and peas. The encounter with Hervé de Charbonnaires, a member of the French resistance who fought against the Nazis who invaded France, is the sliding door that ushers in the profound transformation that Catherine experiences in her life. Even though Hervé was already married with 3 children, the two do not delay in falling in love. Under the alias Caro, she began her life of militancy in the resistance in the year 1941, and she did so while living in the underground. In 1944, she was taken into custody by the Gestapo, where she was subjected to various forms of torture before being locked up. Her brother Christian attempts an intercession to release her by going through the Swedish diplomat Roel Nordling. However, this plan quickly falls through due to a flaw in the execution. In retaliation, the Nazis send Catherine to the women's incarceration camp at Ravensbrück, then to Torgau and Apterode, and last, in 1945, to Markkleeberg, from which she can escape owing to the assistance of the Allies. Catherine's life in the years immediately following the war is peaceful and unaffected by the fashion industry, which instead began to shine a light on her brother's life during this time. She moves back to the south of France and starts selling flowers at the Paris market with the man she loved most in the world and with whom she through the worst chapters of her life, Hervé de Charbonnaires. Together, they went through some of the most trying times of her life. On paper, Catherine Dior is an improbable heroine to take center stage. As the youngest of 5 children to be born into the wealthy Dior family in 1917, she appeared to be destined for a life that would be decorated with elegance. But when the family's riches mysteriously evaporated as a result of unsuccessful real estate endeavors, it seemed like living a life of leisure was a lot less likely. Catherine, then 13 years old, relocated to a run-down farmhouse in Provence from her family's grand mansion in Granville, which was called Villa Les Rums, in the year 1935. Soon after, she ran away to Paris to live with her elder brother Christian, where she worked as an accessory saleswoman for a fashion store while he sold his drawings. After the outbreak of World War II, the siblings relocated back to the south of France, where they farmed vegetables and sold them in the nearby city of Cannes. Catherine would meet and fall in love with Hervé de Charbonnaires, a married father of 3 and member of the resistance. Thereafter, Christian had returned to the capital in quest again of the atmosphere of chiffon. Christian had returned to the capital in search again of the atmosphere of chiffon. Catherine's life subsequently took another unexpected turn, as Justine Picardy tells in the new biography Miss Dior, a story of courage and couture, Farrar, Strauss, and Giroux, which was published earlier this year. By 1941, she had become a member of the resistance and was operating under the name Caro. Sisters of the Resistance, a novel written relatively recently by Christine Wells and published by William Morrow. Imagine the bustling underground circuit that surrounded Catherine in Paris during this period. Caro was taken into custody in the year 1944, and after enduring numerous instances of torture at the hands of the Gestapo, during which she never betrayed her friends, she was sent to a French jail that the Germans had occupied. A distressed Christian made a desperate appeal to the Swedish envoy Roel Nordling, who made several unsuccessful attempts to get Catherine released into his care. Instead, she was sent to the women's concentration camp in Ravensbrück in August of that year. From there, she was moved to the much more deplorable camps of Torgau, Abterode, and Markkleeberg in 1945. Detainees were transported on a death march as the Allies drew closer, but Catherine was able to break free and escape before they reached their destination. She rarely discussed her trials, except the testimony she gave against the people who tortured her. When Christian Dior launched his groundbreaking new look collection on a chilly winter day in February 1947, he did it in a room scented with Miss Dior smells of love. This took place in a room that was scented by Miss Dior. Legend has it that the perfume was given its name when Catherine came into a meeting that Christian Dior was having with his muse and colleague Mitza Bricard. At the time, Dior was discussing a new scent with Bricard. "Ah, right here." "Miss Dior?" cried Bricard with surprise. A strapless evening dress with a mille-fleurs pattern would be given the same name, and it would make its debut in 1949. A giddy American reporter in 1954 described Paris's historic flower market as an enchanted garden under the vast glass domes of Les Halles. Meanwhile, the real Miss Dior built a quiet life away from the world of fashion, living on her farm in Provence and selling flowers alongside des charbonneries at Paris's historic flower market. This market was described as an enchanted garden under the vast glass domes of Les Halles. This journalist had the impression that the market was a bright and sunny bubble, but the Dior siblings were aware that the truth was messier and that it is not an easy accomplishment to conjure life from soil or cloth. The new look was created with hardcore architecture, even though it exuded a sense of gentle romanticism. When Catherine's brother passed away in 1957, she was dubbed the moral heir and given the responsibility of protecting his artistic legacy. She embraced this responsibility with remarkable attention to detail, maintaining the contents of her brother's home down to his deck of playing cards. Catherine is now being brought into the limelight, even though she avoided it throughout her life. This is happening not only with the publication of these new publications, but also with a floral-inspired Spring 2020 collection that was dedicated to Catherine by Dior's creative director Maria Grazia Chiuri, as well as a 2021 bag that will be known as the Caro. Picardi's work is also of its time because it honors an unheralded hero during a period in which the contributions of women are receiving increased recognition. Despite this, the mysterious sister may always be a mystery. Catherine, in contrast to her brother, did not put pen to paper to write her memoirs. Rather, she chose to let her actions speak for themselves. When she was asked by a young veteran about her experiences during the war, her response was succinct and straightforward: "Love life." After her brother Christian passed away, she has always safeguarded the immense legacy that he left to the world of fashion and beyond. Beginning in 1999, she served as the honorary president of the Musée Christian Dior in Granville, a position she held until she died in 2008 when she was 90 years old. Do you like it? Kindly give your valuable response in our comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting and informative videos.